This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
Get real.
You all ready for this? Dun 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 dun. No.
Y'all,
Just
this
stop.
is a sham. Welcome to DBL. It's Wednesday, December 8th. I'm Jeff here with my friends Erica and Tori. A lot to get to, guys. Let's jump right in today. The Facts of Life and Different Strokes came back to TV last night. I loved it as part of the Live in Front of a Studio Audience series. For The Facts of Life, Jennifer Aniston received a big applause for her take on Blair Warner, as did all the characters, I have to add. That's Gabrielle Union playing Tootie, of course, and guest stars Jason Bateman. This was a surprise. Will Arnett and Jon Stewart broke character playing the boyfriends. That was a hilarious moment. But everyone is talking about Lisa Whelchel, who kicked off the show singing the Facts of Life theme song with some of her original co-stars. Take a look at this. And speaking of OG cast members, Todd Bridges appeared at the start of the Different Strokes episode. Looked great, sounded great.
Amazing.
Snoop Dogg, there he is, guest starred as Willis's friend Vernon, and Kevin Hart killed it as Arnold Jackson. He delivered that iconic line. Let's take a listen.
This is my room too. See, that's the problem. I got no quiet, I got no privacy, I got nowhere to go to think my deep thoughts.
What you talking about, Willis?
All right, I got to tell you, this was the first time I tuned into appointment television in a while. And I was a huge fan of Different Strokes growing up, so much nostalgia. I watched Facts of Life sporadically, right? But the way it was done, seeing Norm Van Leer, it was part of the reason why I wanted to get in this business in the first place, and I feel like we're missing that in television now. I even texted our executive producer, Bert, and I'm like, or Norman Lear, I'm sorry. And I was just so excited. I'm like, this is amazing. It was live. I have a great appreciation for that. But how did you guys feel? You know how I felt.
Well, I watched it this morning as I was getting ready earlier, and it was just so amazing because I kept thinking of myself like being in my childhood bedroom, wishing that I had a TV in my room so I could watch TV and get ready for school. And I was watching this, getting ready for work. Like, it just took me back to this moment. And I was so like, I'm still smiling about it. And it's like hours later, but I'm just like, it just put me in such a great mood all day.
I think so. I was just gonna say more.
Well, it's a series.
I know, and Norman Lear and Jimmy Kimmel together. First of all, Norman Lear is.
What did I say?
Norm Van Leer. You made him an Earl. I don't know how, but you united him.
Oh, apologies. Actually, respect. I say that jokingly because I really don't care. I do care.
You do care about it, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. He's 99 years old. He looks fantastic. The timing was great. The actors were great. I just think we need more like Cheers, Martin, MASH they could redo. Like, I want to see all of these redone. All I want is nostalgia right now.
And the age did not matter.
I
thought it even added
Me too.
to it.
It was
having
goofy.
some of those characters in there.
I didn't realize that Kim Fields was not only on Facts of Life, but also on Different Strokes. I didn't remember that.
Me neither.
I mean, first of all, hey to our girl Kim Fields, because, you know, she is a friend of the show.
Absolutely.
That's right.
When they talked to her, and she was like, yes, and he also made a cameo on my movie and that she came and talked to us about. I was like, yes, and the plug, get that in there too.
I saw that too, and Jimmy kind of dismissed it with the cereal box, and I was like, oh, I know what Kim's doing.
Yeah,
Kim's plugging that movie.
She's a pro. She's a pro.
Mrs. Garrett, too, was also on both.
Yeah, no, I knew that.
Yes, me too.
But for some reason, I think because I always think of Janet Jackson for Different Strokes.
That's what I do, right? When they open the door, it's Janet Jackson. She's going on a date. Right?
Yeah, I don't know why, but that was something that stuck out to me as well.
I thought it was fantastic, and like you, I want more of it.
More.
All right, something I don't want more of, the new Sex and the City. Oh, I got a boo over there. Hey, welcome back, Kelly, over there. The new Sex and the City series, and just like that, debuts on HBO Max tomorrow. I know there's big fans out there, but we've been pumping this up for, it seems like, 3 or 4 years. Kristen Davis was on the show where she talked about why Kim Cattrall's character Samantha is not on the show. Let's watch.
We love Samantha. Samantha is never not going to be a part in some way, right? So there is respect for Samantha. There is, it's part of the story.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, that's quite the
we
tease.
would never disrespect Samantha.
All right.
And Chris Noth, who played Mr. Big, told The Guardian that he found the apparent feud between SJP and Kim to be, quote, sad and uncomfortable. He added that he feels protective of SJP and was not happy about Kim calling her out on social media.
Notice they didn't say we don't show disrespect to Kim Cattrall.
I was going to say, way to pick a side, right?
Yeah, they said Samantha. I mean, that's a fake character. That's not a human. So clearly there's an issue there still. But I will say that Chris Noth said he wishes he had spoke out more for Sarah Jessica Parker on set during that kind of uncomfortable moments between the two. And I think that's nice to hear that he wishes he would have been a little bit more protective and stood up for SJP. Clearly there was some tension on there and some people took sides. He was Switzerland, and I think he wishes he had taken more of a protective, fatherly, or, not fatherly.
It's like fatherly.
Husbandly? I don't know what you say, like boyfriendly?
Colleague? Yeah, no, I do appreciate his transparency saying it out loud, because what tends to happen, and I've worked with only ensembles my professional career, and it's like, people have a tendency to want to protect the person that seems to be of the highest value because they believe that that's the person who is going to help shepherd the show. So that creates tension in itself. But then when you add on the social media aspect, and I'm glad that he said it in public, because a lot of times people will just come to you and be like, I'm glad you spoke up. Yeah. I really agreed with you.
You're like, say something.
That means nothing in quiet.
Yeah.
It means absolutely nothing. So, I listen, this is a series. This is something that's quite beloved. I'm super excited about it. If anybody's interested in coming over on Thursday night, I'm going to be watching it. So I'll have the rosé.
Well, I think a lot of people are watching. You might have got me with that.
The rosé, I'm in.
Yeah,
I'm in.
It was an open invite, studio. Like, yes, we're doing this.
I think a lot of people are going to be doing that because this is nostalgic for so many people, right?
And it's just a glossy, polished feel of New York, and it went through lots during this past 2 years. It's nice to see that glossy New York again.
Yeah. And the entry fee at my home will be Champs. So.
Oh, there's a cover fee of champagne.
Yes.
I'll take it.
All right, sounds good. Sounds good. So listen to this story. Jonah Hill apparently confused Meryl Streep by paying her Oh, yeah, it is. She tried to pay her a compliment. Check this out. Jonah, who is starring with Meryl in the new film Don't Look Up, told Jimmy Fallon on The Tonight Show that when he called Meryl the GOAT, as in the greatest of all time, she thought he meant the animal. Let's watch.
We're doing a press conference, and she's like, and Jonah is so comfortable with me, he's been calling me a goat all week. And Jennifer Lawrence explained to her, she was telling Jennifer about this, and she's so cool, she wasn't even offended by it. She was just like, I guess he loves me and is calling me a goat.
You know you made it when you're like, hey, I'm going to go on Jimmy Fallon. What are you wearing? This. Yeah. You know what I mean? What character's he playing?
Well, he's got a SoCal surfer LA vibe going with that blonde hair, the long hair, and I'm really loving it. If you also listen further to the interview, he talks about the voice of self-doubt in his brain. I got to be honest, I'm falling deeply in love with Jonah Hill.
You weren't before?
I was, but he's such a real... He talked about how much doubt he had and what it sounded like to him. And a lot of people that I know who deal with that, because I know I do, really appreciated hearing that from a male perspective, someone that's successful. He's just a really, really introspective guy. I really like him. I really like Jonah Hill.
What do you think about him calling Meryl Streep the GOAT and her not necessarily getting the term?
I think it's hilarious, and I think it's amazing that she wasn't offended at all. I called my husband a grumpy goat last night. I was being funny. No, it was get off my lawn, whatever. So it came out like grumpy goat, and he's like, did you just call me a goat? And I'm like,
yep.
Yeah, I thought it was funny. No? Okay.
That's how I feel all the time.
All right, we're going to leave it with that. Coming up on DBL, our interview with Emmy-nominated actor Greg Ellis, how his life changed overnight after his divorce. And Ryan Reynolds is taking a break from acting. I'm going to take a break, too, after this. We're going to talk about it later.
Closed captioning provided by
Super.
So when Jeff said Norm Van Leer, I was like, is that how you say it? No, it's Norman Lear. But Norm Van Leer turns out to be someone.
Across the court. This is in the first half. In the second half, he's in the audience. Oh, really? And I see him, and we walk up and get his autograph. So who is he? This is like in 1978 or something like that.
What's up, buddy?
He's a Chicago Bull.
Yeah. So that was
Legendary Chicago
that was
Bull.
just in my subconscious that I said Norm Van Leer.
Yeah, I heard that. I thought, what if they're going to go in his ear on that one?
Yeah.
I was never so wrong about two shows in my entire life. I was convinced this was going to be one just terrible thing.
It was amazing.
Live?
It was quite good. I really was like,
I
felt
just
it.
didn't
Live, you thought it was going to
I thought, first of all, I didn't understand the Kevin Hart thing. The moment that thing came up,
He crushed
Gary
it.
Coleman was a
Kevin
little
Hart
kid.
was great.
He was fantastic.
And what
He didn't even try to goof around.
But
He was
he did with
serious.
that
Here's an inside tip. Kevin Hart,
I saw a
you
smoke
have
right
to
there.
see
It was
True
great.
Story
Yes, it
on
was great.
Netflix.
But it was like, I haven't
people
felt like that
do
on
not
film and
understand the
television
depths
for a long time,
of
and knowing
Kevin
that it could go
Hart's
south
true
with
talent.
characters and things
It
like
is
that.
so
I really
well
enjoyed that.
written and produced
There was
and
that one,
executed,
like, little
and Kevin
thing.
Hart
Yeah, but I mean-
absolutely shines in a non-comedic
he's a
role.
Could
He
You
go?
have to.
Could you think he could do the Will Smith, like turn into a serious actor?
Absolutely.
I think so too.
Absolutely.
When you have good timing, you have good timing in everything, and it's always
Upside.
What
Yeah,
is it
that was
called?
the first time Upside with Bryan Cranston. That was the
With
first
Bryan
time I saw him
Cranston,
in
yes,
a,
yes,
in a non-comedic role. But this is Kevin Hart through and through on True Story on Netflix. You have to see it.
True Story.
Yes.
I really love Kevin Hart to me. And then like I follow him for running. Do you know he's like a big exercise guy? You know what I'm talking about here? And he has people run with him to lose weight, and it's very inspiring. And I like that he was open about his affair. We all know it. He called it out. He did a special about it. Good for you. Because you know what's so many people.
Welcome back to DBL. Ryan Reynolds recently announced he was taking a little sabbatical from acting. He explained in an interview with LinkedIn. Let's watch.
The biggest thing for me, and I know that you have kids as well, is that I don't want to miss this time with my kids as well. So they go to school during the day. I get to work on Mountain and Maximum Effort. But when I'm shooting a film, oftentimes I'm in Europe. I'm away. They're incredibly long hours. There's a ton of constant kind of there's a sort of requirement to be there the whole time. Not just because I'm performing, but I'm also generally producing and writing on my movies as well. So.
I wonder if that includes commercials. I think not. He's not alone. Josh Hartnett said he stepped away from Hollywood for his mental health. I totally understand. And Jennifer Lawrence said she took a break from acting back in 2018 because she felt like she didn't have a life. So she got married and expecting her first child. Good for her. That's a life. That's a hard life.
Yeah,
Takes a lot of work.
Hard life. This is something I can completely relate to. The name of the game is balance.
Yes,
we have grown up in this hustle every day mentality, and there's burnout, especially there's burnout for anyone. I did this in 2016. I took a year off. I had never ever left a job before, and I made the decision to do that because I wanted balance in my life. And was it a risk? Yes. Was it a calculated risk? Absolutely. And I think that that's something that people should be thinking about. How do you diversify your income? How do you diversify your household in order to give yourself breathing room? We are not machines. We are people, and we want to be happy. What's the point of being here if you're not?
Yeah, I have to throw an example here. He's given up acting, but he diversified his empire. You might not think about this, but Ryan Reynolds is a mogul. Aviation Gin is doing very well. Mint.com is doing very well. I must believe he's part of LinkedIn or whatever network gave him that interview. He is in different ways, and he's very diversified away from acting. And that's how you do it, right? So he can sit back, play the long game, relax, and invest. And he can be with his wife, and they can relax. So So as you say that, I think, can that be relatable to us?
Absolutely.
And it can be,
It
right?
is.
You can make
Yes.
little investments.
Yes.
You can use him as a role model.
But it's not even just that. It's also the idea of, you talk about your little side hustle,
Yeah.
or like this is something, or, it's a gig economy. Think about these things very seriously.
Yeah.
This isn't a side hustle. This is a part of your portfolio of everything that you're doing, so that if somebody decides that they don't want you in their office on Thursday, then your whole life isn't going to fall apart because of one opportunity. I just think more people need to be thinking like this. I mean, the comeback is very real.
Yeah, and how about the accomplishment of getting to that point?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Congratulations to them.
I've loved him from Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place. Remember that TV show? He was great. Look at him now.
Coming up on DBL, actor Greg Ellis reflects on losing his wife, kids, and home overnight. Don't miss his heartbreaking story. That's next.
This was...
Pfizer and Merck have developed pills to help reduce the risk of hospitalization and death from COVID-19. Both drug makers have applied for emergency use authorization from the Food and Drug Administration in the coming weeks. Verify viewer Sandra wants to know, can Merck or Pfizer's COVID-19 treatment pills be given to children? So Sandra, let's verify. Our sources are Pfizer, Merck, studies on both drugs' efficacy, Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, and the FDA. Pfizer and Merck studied their COVID-19 pills in trials similar to how the vaccines were developed. A study of Merck's pill shows it reduced the risk of hospitalization or death by 30% among high-risk unvaccinated volunteers, while a separate study of Pfizer's pill reduced the risk by 89%. Both companies only studied the efficacy in people over the age of 18. Therefore, the FDA can only consider authorizing the pills in adults. So it's false that Merck or Pfizer's COVID-19 pills can be given to children, at least for now. Cedars-Sinai Medical Center explains researchers often start with adults and then work backwards to study the drugs on children because, quote, trials for children require special ethical and clinical considerations and have to meet a higher standard before they can start recruiting participants, unquote. Pfizer tells Verify it hasn't yet determined a timeline to begin studying its pill in children. With your Verify, I'm Brandon Lewis.
He's an Emmy-nominated actor who lost his home, career, and kids overnight because of divorce. Earlier, we spoke with Greg Ellis.
Please welcome to the show, Greg Ellis. Welcome, Greg. Thank you for being here.
Hey, Greg. Thank you very much for having me. It's great to be on.
Absolutely. Now, before we get into the night your life was literally turned upside down, tell us what your life was like before that evening. Paint us a picture.
20 years married, happily, living the American dream. Beautiful home, member of the country club, kids in an exclusive elite private school. I was flying around the world on location filming and had a great career. So life was pretty wonderful.
Wow, pretty sunny.
So, Greg, you've said that a 10-word lie ruined your life. What was the lie and what happened after it was said?
Well, yeah, it was March 5th, 2015. And in the span of 8 hours on that day, I was ushered from my home in handcuffs. At the behest, I later discovered, of my ex-wife, imprisoned, the first of 5 incarcerations, subjected to a temporary restraining order, became homeless, almost destitute overnight, and watched helplessly as my professional reputation was irretrievably destroyed, and my sons lost their loving, present father for half their childhoods.
Wow.
And in crossing that legal Rubicon from citizen to respondent, which is the name given to the defendant in a family law or divorce court proceeding, I migrated from a world of presumed innocence, earned privilege, and respected privacy to one of assumed guilt, an immediate and ruthless judgment. And when I discovered that family law is the only branch of our legal system where there's no presumption of innocence, that means that murderers, rapists, terrorists, pedophiles all get more legal rights than law-abiding citizens. I started to wonder why we have this meaning crisis, why we have this dad deprivation crisis, why America is the world leader in children growing up in single-parent households.
So, Greg, what were the 10 words that put you into this tailspin?
Yeah, there was a call that went to law enforcement from my ex-wife, and she asked them to come to the house and said that I was confused. They said, "We can't come to the house if he's confused." And she said, "What do you need to hear?" And they said, "We need to hear he's a threat to himself or the children." And the 10 words were, "I'm sick of this S word. I'm gonna harm the children." And those 10 words basically ruined my life. And welcome to family law.
Wow. Wow. All right. You haven't seen your sons in a couple years now, Greg. If you have the floor, you have this platform, what do you want them to know?
Well, yeah. Oh, that's a.
I know that's a big
It's painful to talk about.
Yeah.
I can't imagine.
Yeah. Gosh, I just refer to the book. Really, I write one of my final chapters in the book is called "A Funeral for My Sons," and in order to live through the living grief, as I talk about it, I talk with parents through my charity foundation, CPU, Children and Parents United, about the suicide by living grief, the lack of finality and closure. I didn't want to write my book. I had to. That final chapter was really, it was a ritual funeral ceremony that I had to enact myself to lay to rest the living grief of being suddenly and shockingly and catastrophically separated from my 2 boys, who were the meaning of my life. And you know, I wrote the book to make sense as well of the government-sponsored devastation of my life and destruction of my family. It was part of my sense-making therapy and recovery. I wrote it to ring the alarm bell about a broken system and call for social change and family law reform, because this is happening and has been happening for decades to tens of thousands of parents and children across America. But more than anything, I wrote it to let my children know that I haven't and hadn't and never would abandon them, and my door is wide open. I love them so much. They were my everything.
Wow.
They were and are my everything.
Wow.
So now I dedicate my time and my mission to helping other children and parents navigate this horrifically unfair divorce system that we have in America.
Wow.
And call for social change and bring about policies and educate people. I just want to give a quick shout out to Representative Creech and his colleagues in Ohio who are pushing through the equal shared parenting bill that's going to save thousands of children and parents' lives, literally.
Thank you for that. To our DBL Nation, visit Greg's website, therespondent.com. You can also purchase his book or soon-to-be-released audiobook. You can also learn about his nonprofit aimed at helping families through divorce. Greg, thank you again for being here and for your courage. We'll be right back. Thank you.
Thanks to all of you. Be well.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
Watch out.
That sound means it is time to verify, and it's time to get to the bottom of a claim fueling debate and discord among 2 groups of people, those who are and are not vaccinated against COVID-19. You've seen variations of this assertion circulating social media that given the occurrence of breakthrough cases, people who are vaccinated against COVID are just as likely to spread the virus as people who are not. Is that true? To verify, I talked to infectious diseases physician Chris Uhl with Atrium Health Wake Forest Baptist and looked into the apparent source of the claim in question. An October research study published in The Lancet. It examined what is called viral load, or how much virus you have. The study found COVID vaccination reduces the risk of contracting the virus, including the Delta variant, and it also lessens the length of the infection. Yet fully vaccinated individuals with breakthrough infections have a peak viral load similar to that of people who aren't vaccinated. Dr. Uhl said while that could be concerning from a transmission standpoint, the viral loads are not apples to apples.
While the peak viral load may be just as high, it turns out that people who've been vaccinated, the viral load decreases much quicker than it does in an unvaccinated person. So the time available to transmit is shorter. thus fewer cases transmitted. The other thing we found out is that when looking for actual viable, a live virus in people with these peak viral loads, harder to find.
Dr. Uhl said, in other words, your immune system beats up the virus before it's detectable on a PCR test. He pointed out vaccinated college students who live together in residence halls tend to have low transmission rates, even with breakthrough cases. And the risk of transmission in vaccinated households is 50% less than in unvaccinated households.
So the good news is that even though your peak viral load may be high, that not all that virus is viable, and it is harder to transmit COVID if you've been vaccinated. Not impossible, but it's harder. But if we wear masks, we take that risk down even more if we're wearing those masks in an indoor situation.
In conclusion, we verify no, vaccinated people are not just as likely to spread the virus as people who are unvaccinated. Even if they contract breakthrough cases, those infections are shorter and contain less live virus. And all that said, breakthrough infections remain rarer than infections among people who are unvaccinated. The CDC notes unvaccinated people are nearly 6 times as likely to contract the virus and 14 times more likely to die from it. With your Verify, I'm Megan Malaris.
Welcome back to DBL. If you have leg pain, there is something you can do to feel better. We're chatting about it on DBL's Focus on Fitness, presented by QB. So according to the CDC, osteoarthritis is the most common arthritis affecting Americans, with the most common area of the pain being the legs, knees, and hips. The best thing you can do is to get moving. Researchers say as soon as you stop moving, your joints become stiffer. You can try swimming because getting in the pool eliminates stress on your legs and all joints. Also, QB is another great way to get moving regardless of physical ability or age. Try their under-desk elliptical at home. Call 1-800-556-2089 or visit QB.com to learn more. So we were talking a little bit in the break about Norman Lear, who I messed up and said Norm Van Lear.
Correct.
Who was on the Chicago Bulls in the late 70s, early 80s.
Norm Van Lear.
Norm Van Lear, and was running around my head. Who knows what that hamster wheel kicks up?
He's just drifting off.
So
That's a Chicagoan for you.
Great show yesterday. We love it. We'll see you guys tomorrow, same time, same place.